Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. This is an impromptu live stream. As you know, I was on the debrief a little bit earlier on. I had planned to go to bed, but you know what? I thought we're gonna have to chat to Joe, and he can, the voice of reason. We can have a chat about Leeds United and whether or not we have enough. Obviously, it's been 24 days since we last signed a player. There are 17 days left in the window. We'd all like to see some business. There's no getting away from that fact. But what I wanted to focus on this video is obviously this piece of information that's been doing the rounds all over the Twitter over the last 24 hours that shows in terms of squad depth. If we look at the numbers here, you can see Burnley at the top with 34. Just to put some clarity on this as well, folks, they will need to lose players. You're only allowed a 25-man squad in the Championship. Similarly, the same in the Premier League. So, yeah, that's their situation. But right at the bottom of this list is Leeds United. So I thought it'd be a fair conversation to have a chat with you folks in the chat and with Joe about what this means, because we all sit here and say, sorry, you can't see Leeds at the bottom there. We all sit here and say we have the best squad. I've said this. We have the best squad. We have the best depth. Well, the numbers might say different. So just have a conversation about that and whether or not with 17 days left of the window, Leeds United are ready. You know, we were promised we would be ready. So, yeah, let's have a chinwag about that. Joe, how are you, my man? First of all, tell me how you are, and then you can give me your opinion on that piece we've just viewed.
Yeah, I'm fine. Quiet enough day. Brought the dog for a walk. Had me tea, my missus. All good. Collecting my wedding invitations yesterday, so filling out envelopes today.
Good stuff.
So yeah, all moving along. Yeah, quite enough. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. I'm tired. I can't lie to you. I did a 10K today.
We saw running's gone well, isn't it?
I know, man. I hadn't done one, and then I don't know. Like I didn't want to go, and then when I got out there, it just felt right. I just thought, keep going. I thought, right, you're gonna get 10K here, so let's go. So that was good. Yeah, I'm tired. I've got my little boy tomorrow. We're gonna go swimming and that. So I thought I would do this video now. Let this sit tomorrow, and then tomorrow night we've got a game, and hopefully a win against Middlesbrough will just lift the spirits of me and maybe a few people as well, because I don't think I'm the only one who's maybe a little bit down at the minute. Where are you at, Joe? Where are you at? Because normally you're cool, calm, collected. Where are you at the moment?
I'm fine with what we have right now. I'm not panicked. I keep going back over the game. I've watched it a couple more times just to remove the emotion. Like I even said that yesterday. When you watch it back without the emotion, it's a very different game of football.
Okay.
And it's just hard to believe that we didn't win the game, but we scored 3 goals. Everyone's complaining about conversion rates. I'm like, yeah.
I did like what you said actually on the final word when you mentioned from a striker's perspective.
Oh yeah,
we've done our job, mate. Yeah, bang on.
Yeah, and I said it on my own as well. If you score 3 goals in any game, you should be winning that game. End of story. End of story. So the other stuff I kind of look at it's penalty, it's positioning for Bogle, the first one's positioning. They're all things that will get fixed. But I was encouraged by the starts we made in both halves. And if we can get more of that, I think we'll all be very happy this year. But there's gaps. They need to be filled just to settle everyone down. Because as long as those gaps aren't filled, people will assume we'll be left short. I watched your piece today as well. And those fears are in the back of my head that we will, end up going on the road of sins of the past where we go, we should be all right there. And then we get an injury and we're not all right. So just close off the gaps, bring in the players, deliver on the promises that you said. That's all I want them to do. Player will leave, he will be replaced. Fine. Replace him, we're good. And I think the squad's okay. I think the 20-man squad is a misnomer. It's not necessarily true. And we're allowed 25 players, but that doesn't include under 21s. So they're exempt from that as well. So even in our 23, we'll include a couple of under 21s. If you look at all those squads, if you've played 1 minute of a game, transfer market automatically assigns you to the first team as part of that squad. Leeds players won't be assigned to transfer market because they haven't kicked the ball yet, some of them, in a competitive game. So a lot of those players will end up in under 21s and are not part of their squads either. So there's still work for a lot of clubs to do. And then there's some clubs will have to get rid of players. I'm still surprised Gus Hamer is hanging around at Gus Hamer.
Yeah, Sheffield United.
Oh, sorry. I keep mixing the goalkeepers first name with Ben Hamer. Yeah, Gus Hamer. I'm surprised he's still there with a relegation release clause. He's still floating around. So, I mean, he could go as well. Burnley, you've got a couple that could probably go.
Well, Darrell O'Shea's been linked to Brentford in the last couple of hours, and he scored last night and was great for Burnley. So, You know, there is, like you say, I agree with you. There will be a lot of moving parts yet from these clubs with 17 days. Like Dr. Cox said, Weghorst came off the bench for Burnley last night.
He won't be staying there.
He's not going to be there, is he? I can't see it. So
he doesn't want to be there, and he's made that clear before. Like, he's been on 2 successive loans because he doesn't want to play in the Championship. Even in the Premier League, he went on loan again. You know, so he won't stay there.
No, exactly.
He's not liked either. I mean, as much as we don't like our players that went on loan, he did it twice. You know, he's in the.
He said some pretty not nice things as well about Burnley. So
didn't he have a row when Holland played? Was it Wales? And one of the players on the Welsh team was a Burnley player. Couldn't actually Connor Roberts actually, but they he scored a goal and they went up to him after the match and were like, "Why couldn't you do that for us?" But they weren't messing. It was a serious dig at him because he left at that stage and like, yeah, he couldn't score goals for us. No, I always said Weghorst was the reason we stayed up.
yeah. Remember he missed that City, didn't he? Actually, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, Newcastle as well. I remember that game. Ryan Crawford says Rak-Saki in the crowd at Sheffield United, along with the Plymouth game. We've known for about a week now, I think, that Rak-Saki. I remember last Thursday, Hal said it was almost done on the White Rose Rivals. So there's not really any surprises.
It's not a great deal, though.
No, not for Sheffield United.
I'd be worried about that deal.
Yeah, same.
I mean, imagine he absolutely lights up the Championship. He's going back to Palace in January.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they've got to replace that. I mean, that recall clause is a bad deal. And a seven-figure loan fee. So that's at least $1 million.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. And Palace, I mean, look to be losing, a lot of players at the minute. Guehi, Joachim Andersen's been linked. Eze could go, so they may need him.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because this name keeps popping up. Nanto Palace keeps popping up. Right? Do you think Willie Nanto's a better winger than Rak-Saki?
Yeah,
right now.
I'd say so, yeah.
So you'd imagine he'd get into the Palace side of it, and that's where Rak-Saki goes out on. Because there's no point in bringing a player in if he's going to be the same level as someone you've loaned out.
I would think he would get in at Palace, yeah. Because on the right, Elise was there. I don't know, Jordan AU, he might be going to Leicester. I'm not sure who else they've got. Playing. Yeah, he's going to Leicester for a couple of million, apparently.
How is he still getting contracts off clubs?
Yeah, mad.
Do you know what I mean?
He runs around a lot, doesn't he?
I think I said on the first season in the Premier League, when Liam Cooper had a tough day at the office against Jordan A, was labelled. And I did the phone in for BBC, and I remember saying it at the time, if Liam Cooper's having a bad day at the office against Jordan A, we've got some serious problems at the back because he's a very average striker. And he still managed to get a live in the Premier League. It's mad.
Yeah. And he could be on his way to Leicester, as I say. Not, a bit on the quiet side, am I? Maybe. Everyone keeps saying this, but it's well, they don't, a few, but it's loud. Unless I've moved over here, but it should be totally fine. 10th of August, Hamer clause run out. You mentioned earlier on the numbers are wrong on that thing about us only having 20 players. What's it missing? You mentioned
well, I've counted 23 off of our squad number list.
Right, okay.
That obviously includes Chambers, De Bayo.
Right,
yeah. So they're players Leeds have given a squad number to. So they're players that will be involved in the squad this season because they've been given a number at the beginning of the season. So you've 3 goalkeepers, Melier, Cairns and Darlow. You've got 7 defenders, defensive players, Bogle, Firpo, Stroke, Ronan, Byram, De Bayo and Vober. You've got 5 midfield. One was possibly an attacker. Ampadu, Rothwell, Chambers, Gruev, Crew. That area needs a bit more. It's a bit young. Your attackers, then you've got James, Bamford, Pirro, Aronson, Joseph, Jorginho, Nanto, and Gallagher. You've got 8 there, so 23 players in total.
And do you think with them 23 at this moment in time, because the mad thing is, a week ago, we all said, and I think you agreed, that this was when Somerville was still at Leeds, if we close the window now, we'd be happy we have enough.
Yeah.
I actually now think, I'm not sure we were quite right, Joe.
I don't know. It depends on what we're trying to do. Because again, I think if we just sort out the defensive issues, we win the game at the weekend pretty comfortably. We get a clean sheet, boom, job done, 3-0 win. Yeah. It's just it's an anomaly for Leeds to score 3 goals in a game under Daniel Farke. It hasn't happened that often. Yeah. But it's an even bigger anomaly for Leeds to concede 3 in L. I think it's the first time it's happened under Farke that we've conceded 3 goals in a game. So possibly, yeah. So that's just an unusual
QPR, but at home, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it would be
at home, yeah. So just a weird day all around. So I think if you tighten them up, I mean, we've got a fantastic attack. We are probably light, I would say, at least one body in the centre of midfield, because you take Chambers out of that list because he's probably a winger, so he becomes an attacker. And then you've got Ampadu, Gruev, and Crew. I didn't like the way he was talking about Ampadu as a centre back again today. I was thinking, has he decided already that he's not happy with the centre back pair and he's going to drop Ampadu back there already? I don't know. It was a strange comment to make.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, you made that, because previously he said in an emergency Ampadu could go in at centre-back, and then
didn't
today,
say emergency
he
today.
did say... Yeah, you make a good point. Do you think we could see that on
Gruev can play there if Ampadu plays centre-back, was what you said, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you're like...
No, we don't want to do that.
You're planning something.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. Do you make wholesale changes tomorrow night, Joe?
I think you play the bench because I think they're capable of playing. I think it's a strong enough bench. I think you bring Vober in for minutes, maybe plays first half, or he plays 60 minutes because he said 60 minutes. I think you bring Rothwell in. You could easily, and that might be the change. You might put Ampadu back centre back and rest Road on it completely as well. Put Byron right back. Left back is going to have to be Junior.
Would you not put Vober at left back?
You could do, but what's the point? Really, he's not going to give you an awful lot, is he? Unless he wants to have like a more defensive looking shape to see if that's the problem. Piero Bamford come in probably. I don't know if Paddy's ready.
Should we try this 3 that we've seen?
He might try tomorrow. Yeah, he might try something completely different tomorrow. But I think you could see Ampadu in that 3. Then you again being a cup game, you could have Ampadu, Vober, and Rodon, or Stroke and rest Rodon. You know, although I think Rodon needs as many games as he can get right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. Daniel says, "Think we won't get Ben Doak, no, mate. I think they've put him up for sale as well, and you're talking about 10 million or something for Ben Doak.
You take him, but he won't sit on the bench, will he?
No,
and they won't let him go for nothing.
No. Yeah. How do you stand on that line taker by Farker that I'll never guarantee anyone minutes? Because I like it.
Dead right.
Yeah.
Dead right. Why should anybody walk into our team?
Yeah.
Why should
I agree.
Why should a player dictate? I mean, from a manager's perspective, it kind of undermines the manager's role. Like, this guy has to play because we've agreed a deal that says he has to play. It doesn't matter how crap he's been, he has to play. I mean, we had it with Nketiah, didn't we? He was guaranteed minutes, and Bielsa was like, yeah, he is, but he's not getting them. Yeah. So back he went in January.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, yeah. And then he ended up, yeah.
That's the reason why you don't promise them minutes. Because if you can't guarantee them, they'll end up going back to their club anyway. So what's the point?
And some clubs put clauses in that mean you get charged as a club, in effect. You have to pay more, you know?
Jed Spence cost us money last year.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of money as well, really, in the end, for what was a really poor loan, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where's for you the most pressing concern? Because I'm really worried about the centre of midfield now. Having seen the weekend, and you are right, we created hatfuls and all that sort of stuff, but I just don't think it works, and I'm yet to see what everybody else is seeing with Joe Rothwell. I just think they like to play deeper, and I want like sort of knitting it all together. I get what he's good at, do you know what I mean? But I'd like someone to just carry the ball into the a bit like Matthias Klick. Do you know what I mean? Bit like a Clicky.
Yeah. I think you get a bit of that from Rothwell as long as we're higher up the pitch. But then we were talking at the weekend's game about the fact that Ampadu was sitting so deep in midfield on his own that Rothwell kind of dropped in beside him. Like, both he's like, there's now a 40-yard gap between you and the attackers now. It's a huge gap in there, which ultimately Portsmouth filled and got out. That's how they passed their way out. Yeah. So if you can keep Ampadu, I understand he has to drop between the centre-backs for kick-outs and to collect the ball at times to start moves. But when we're pushing out, if they've come back in narrow, don't be in front of them. Get out of the way. Give them the space to play in as well. Find a bit of space for yourself. And then I think Rothwell has that license to fill that space in front and push on more. But what I like about Rothwell, and the big thing I would say is it's the speed at which he moves the ball. It's the transition. When the ball goes to him, it's gone straight away to the next player. There's no messing around. There's no putting your foot on it, rolling your studs over, pointing at somebody, checking back in, checking back out. It's in and gone. And then he moves on 5 yards. They get it back and he move it again. It's kind of the Glenn Kamara, but at a much faster pace in terms of the ball movement, not necessarily running. The ball movement's much quicker, and I think he gives you that. And then you've got the option. He will have a shot from the edge of the box if he gets a sniff, but you've got to get him into that position to do that. But that gap just needs to be sorted out in the middle of the park, and I think we do need a number 8. If it's not going to be a new player coming in, then I think you've got to put Rothwell in there and have a good look at him, because that's your more advanced of the two. But then again, the issue at the weekend wasn't scoring goals. The issue at the weekend was stopping them going in.
Yeah. For you, if we didn't get a midfielder, that's a real concern for me, Joe.
Yeah. I think we're back to
Real
Adam
concern.
Forshaw territory a few years ago where we're like, yeah, we should be okay. Adam's around. And then he's not,
Yeah.
So I mean, if Grua picks up a knock or Fampadu picks up a knock or Rothwell, you're down to 2. And then there's a lot of pressure on Charlie Crew to come in and be a big player. And you're trying to get out of this division. It's not fair to put that pressure on young players, to be the ones that, well, you have to play at a certain level now because we have to get promoted and your man's injured. So you have to step up.
Yeah.
That's not fair either on those young players, especially when you've identified that you want one. There's plenty of them about that are of decent level. I mean, the Lubicic one's a very strange situation to me. They're refusing to sell the player, but now they're on a transfer embargo. So they've financial problems. So he's in the last year of his contract. If you offer a half decent offer, you get him.
Exactly.
Now, I'm also, I'm not in the mind for wasting money on players because I think it can go elsewhere. But I think there's an option there. There's plenty of options. Tanaka's another good option. He won't cost you much either.
Yeah.
So
really cheap.
Just get it done. Yeah. Just get a midfielder. There's plenty of them out there that we've looked at. Tanaka's not going to cost you more than 3 million. Lubicic is probably going to cost you about 8. If we don't have 8, then get Tanaka, bring him in. Because Lockie talks very highly of him. From what I've seen of him playing in the Bundesliga too, he's very, very good. And he's that kind of profile.
Yeah. With 17 days left, mate, are you actually, just to go back, are you a little... I'm a little concerned that it's been 24 days since we signed Bogle, to be honest. When you actually look at it like that, that's 3 weeks. 3 weeks since we signed a player, and we
got content to make, Joe. We got content to make.
Well, not even, I mean, we've managed to fill it, haven't we, to be honest? But it is a little bit like, wow, 3 weeks is a long time, actually.
Yeah. There's
so
good
what
and
do
bad
you think
things
they're waiting for?
There was another interesting line in the press conference where Farkas said about if you go and panic buy early,
You mentioned bullets, didn't
you don't have the money there at the end when you. So maybe the targets that Leeds have identified. This goes back to Larry Nance's comment when he was on Orton Know Better. Maybe the ones they've identified haven't actually moved yet.
Yeah.
They're sitting there, and the Leeds are waiting to get as close to the end as they can in order to get pull the trigger to stop anybody else coming in and get it done quickly while they're all distracted doing other things. It's a dangerous strategy because you might miss out because of that. But there's a reason why they're waiting, and the fact that again reading into things the fact that he said that in the press conference, that's an interesting line to put in there. Like you could have just said, "We're talking," and leave it at that, but you didn't. He said, "If we go early, we don't have the money at the end." So are we saving the money then for something special at the end?
Yeah, for a top target, if you like.
Oh, yeah. I don't see a top player coming in, do you?
I mean, I'd still love Sammy Schmodics. He scored 2 tonight.
Put your hand off.
One season wonder scored 3 in 2. He's probably scored more. It was 4-0 last time I looked. So, I think he'd be perfect for us. I think he'd be perfect for us. Do you still think we get the 3 that's been quoted? I think the left back I'm not concerned about because I definitely think we'll get a left back on loan from the Prem. I think that's fine. But the 8 and if it's a winger or a 10, they seem to be harder to pick up for us.
Yeah, because you're looking for quality players in those positions. You're not looking for cover. You're looking for somebody to come in and start. So therefore, there's a certain profile of player you need to get out of the championship, a certain level of player. Even getting Rothwell on, he knows he's coming in as a squad player. He's coming in and he knows he'll be in and out of the team, and he's happy enough at the point of the career that he's in to do that. But if you want to get promoted, you need a mainstay number 8 in there, and that's going to cost you a few quid because they're going to have to be decent players. But again, we've already talked about the options that Leeds have, but they're just the options that we've talked about and we've heard linked. There could be, again, other players that we have no idea the Leeds are looking at right now. So, but they're the 2 for me that's where the money needs to be spent. You get a young, up-and-coming left back, you stick him in under Firpo, comes on, plays a couple of minutes, covers when needed. Might not even have to cover. Sam Byram could cover, and then he covers Sam Byram. Could be that case,
true.
But that's what you need. But spend the money on the 2. If we don't get the 3 in, we know that Daniel Farkas' squad isn't complete in his eyes because these are his words.
And I think he'll say that, I don't think he's enough. Yeah, I don't think he's just afraid to say that. I think
his expectation is these will be done.
Yeah.
And he's talking like a man that's been given guarantees that they'll be done. So if he's saying that, we kind of have to believe him. But then, TikTok, lads, it's getting on.
Yeah, it's getting on, isn't it? It's getting on. Colin Kerwin says, cheers, lads, fair play. Hopefully see you at Ellen Road this year. Tough start, but we will click into action. You could argue we did click into action, like you say. It's just the defence. Hopefully we can.
I want clean sheets, Joe. I always, as a
Yeah.
coach and as a manager, I was happier. As a player, I wanted goals, but as a manager and as a coach, I was always happier with clean sheets because that means you've gotten something from the game, guaranteed.
Yeah.
If you keep a clean sheet, you've at least got a point. Aim for clean sheets, and we've got such an attacking abundance of talent that'll look after itself, I think. And the fact that we came up against a low block at 2 points during that game against Portsmouth and broke it down twice, got in behind them twice. So there's a lot of really good stuff from the attacking side. It's just those lax moments and the switching off at the wrong times.
What do you think happened from pre-season?
Organisation. It looks like organisation for me. Somebody just didn't
how
grab
many
hold
goals
of
did we concede in pre-season, Joe?
None.
One against Valencia.
That was it.
A couple in Germany, maybe.
Did anything against Schalke? I don't think we did.
And we just never looked troubled, really. I know we conceded the one from Valencia, which again was a breakdown from a set piece, actually. So maybe that's something they really need to look at. And it was more a deflection. But what I don't understand is why there was, not going forward, there wasn't a drop off, but like just organisationally having control of the game for the full 90 minutes. So it was 2 goals, one versus Valencia, one versus Hanover.
Okay, that's nothing.
We've gone from that to conceding 3 on the opening day. It is a bit of a concern. I don't know what happened.
He did say arrogance. Again, he said it in his press. Immediately after the game on the pitch side, he mentioned the word arrogance, and then he alluded to it in the press conference, toned it down a little bit, but alluded to it. There's a change in him this year. He's pointing out people where he wasn't before. He's been very vocal about transfers, which he wasn't before.
Yeah.
So there's an edge there. I think after a year under his belt now, he's like, right, this is my way now, and I'm going to start calling people out. You know, protected you for long enough. Now you got to start doing the stuff on the pitch. You've had a year. Maybe there's a bit of that with him, but it's a complete switch off for the first goal because they've swapped over. They've been told by players, and we could all see it 3 or 4 times, swap back. They didn't. The ball went dead. And if you are on the opposite side, because if a corner's been taken and my right winger stay taken on the left-hand side, my instructions would be, because he'd be set up as the corner taker before the game, your instructions are the right back, you'll cover him on the left-hand side. When the ball's put in play, you stay on that side until the ball goes out of play and then swap back over when the ball goes out of play. The next chance. That ball went out of play and Bogle stayed put. Ferber went back across and Bogle didn't. And then the ball gets played over into that space. And then he's late, well, not lazy, he's slow to get back in. He ends up in the wrong position then, and it's a goal. Second one's an absolute banger, and the third one's a penalty. All of those goals are preventable goals.
Yeah.
Like all of them. First one, sort out your shape. When the ball goes dead, get back into position. Done. Ball goes in there, you're already there. It's already more difficult to score. That's the first one. Second one, close the player down. When the ball's cleared, get out. Maybe don't head the ball back into the middle of the goal. That's the first thing. Secondly, close the player down. Don't turn sideways when they're having a shot, Pascal. You know, and then the third one is just maybe don't get a player in a headlock on the edge of the box. I mean, they're all, when you say it out loud, they're all silly mistakes. It's poor defending, but they're easily rectified. Should be easily rectified.
Do you know
it's
what
not like the shape was so bad. It was just one person.
Yeah. You know what I found was quite refreshing, and I know obviously we've spoken about this all last season about his use of the squad and his trust in the bench. And you can criticise the subs, but he did bring on 4 players in that game. And he also spoke in the press conference today about making a lot of changes, more than he normally would. But that tells me, and actually gave me confidence hearing him say that, he trusts what he's got now. Because last season, he very rarely did that. You know, I think he did it once against Stoke and it went tits up, and he never did it again.
We all said the same thing. Don't ever do that again. We all said the same thing. Have to get please don't do that again.
But did that give you a bit of confidence, seeing the 4 subs at the weekend, and obviously what he said about him switching up the team?
I mean, with all due respect to Jamie Shackleton, Charlie Creswell, and Leo Hjelde, and Ian Poveda, it's a different 4 coming off the bench. It's Aronson, Pirro, Bamford, and Byram, or Rothwell. It's a different bench coming off. So I mean, to start with, and again, I know people you can't win with the substitutions, can you? He's not making them early enough. 70 minutes, he makes 3, and you're like, oh, not those 3. You're like, well, who else is he going to bring? Don't take the wingers off. Yeah, but they hadn't scored in a bit. Yeah, Nanto's having a very good game.
I agree with you. Pirro can't do right. Great assist. He cannot do right.
No, but Pirro, we told they didn't make an impact. Pirro, it's an amazing assist by Pirro when you watch him, where he nicks the ball, turns and runs into the space, and then somebody else showed me an angle of it. If you look at it from the end, looking up the pitch, how he even finds that pass into Aronson because there's so many bodies in there, and then Aronson scores. That's 2 subs. that have had a direct impact on the game and got you an equaliser. So you can't do right sometimes.
Yeah. I do just want to flash up this as well, because obviously there's been a lot made about the squad size according to Transfermarkt, which shows 20, but like you said, on the squad numbers it's showing 23, although some of them, your Chambers, etc., Debayo, maybe might not get close to it, barring injuries. But I do think there is also a point to make on this, folks, that Leeds United, in terms of match day squad, in terms of total market value, we have the most expensive squad, the strongest squad, if you like, if you want to count it on monetary value. And same goes for the bench, in terms, obviously, we more expensive than what Burnley, Sheffield United have. And I know that's just a monetary value, but it does show as well, yes, we might not have as many numbers as Burnley, as other teams in the division, but in terms of quality, it shows, because quality players cost you money, right? So I do think there is a case to say, to also, I guess, give them credit for that, in that we do have, we might not have as many numbers, but the players that we do have are of sufficient quality.
And that's where the depth question comes in, because if you look across the park, do we have a replacement for every position of decent quality? And outside of the three that we're talking about, we do. And of the three, we have some cover of a decent level, but not the better cover that you would want. You'd ideally want a 25-man squad, but Bielsa historically didn't like anything more than 18 players, and then he wanted the rest to be underage players. And Farke is not massive on big squads either, because
no, he's not.
You're just gonna have a lot of players standing around doing nothing. If you bring in 25 first team players like that can compete for starting positions, 6 of them are being left home every week. 6 of them aren't even in the squad, so they're doing nothing, and they're not going to be great to have around the training ground or in the dressing room, because they're going to be pissed off all the time. So it's about getting the balance right of how many players you've got competing for genuine starting positions, and then how many players can make an impact off the bench and give you something a bit extra, but maybe come from the under right. And then you don't want to block up the pathway for the younger players coming through, because we all want to see Charlie Krug make it. Debayo's clearly made an impression on everybody. You want to see him come through as well. So you have to be careful with it. And we know there's 3 more on paper to come in, which would bring that to 26, and it's different.
And he seems pretty adamant that we'll get these 3, right? He's on record as saying it. And if he doesn't, then he's going to have questions aimed at him for that. So I think, like you said, he's pretty confident that we get them 3. And all the links, apart from the midfielder, actually, Lubicic has gone so quiet. We haven't really been linked to an 8 since then. We keep being linked to Raw. What do you make to Raw? Is it time to put this one in the bin? Like, Monaco have now joined the race, Marseille are out of it. But ultimately, Leeds still haven't shown the hand. They haven't put an official bid in yet. So are they waiting? Like, where are you at with that?
Is he even the player? Is he even the player?
Yeah, man. It'd be mad if he wasn't.
Maybe it's somebody that, again, would be surprised by the end of the window. These names just come out and they've signed. But if you read into something, like Team Talk today had the exclusive that Leeds are. I love these exclusives. Leeds are ready to make a move. So they haven't yet. So the exclusive is that they weren't moving and still haven't. That's the exclusive. We're still in the same position.
I just use it to put Leeds soon.
Yeah. But if you believe that, you've got to believe everything else that's in the piece around it, where they tell us that Leeds had that Marseille had a £10 million bid rejected for him, which wasn't the case. It was 8 million. And he also says that Leeds got 35 million for Crescencio Somerville, which we didn't. We got 25 plus add-ons, so we didn't. So both those numbers are already wrong. Before you even get into going, well, are Leeds actually going to make a move for this player or not? Now, it was mentioned kind of, not this week at this press conference, but the last one, it was kind of mentioned, and he, again, wouldn't want to talk about other people's players, but he's not going to give this away. Leeds seem very, very much of the mindset, if we tell people how much money we have, it impacts our business negatively. And if we say who we're after, then that negatively impacts our business as well. So we're shutting our mouth, we're saying nothing till it's done. And we have to, unfortunately, put up with that, hoping that it comes true. And if it does come true, then that's last summer and this summer where I think they've delivered very, very well on their promises. Yeah. But they have made promises, and that's the big piece. If they don't deliver on that, that has to be called out at some point. And I still have faith that they will until they don't. But it's that old saying of, like, everyone deserves a chance to let you down, until they do.
And if we go back, like you said, last summer was good. Last summer was really good. They spent 17 million, but they brought us Gruev, they brought us Kamara, they bought us Ampadu, they brought us Rodon. Like, it was very strong. We finished on 90 points. January, We all thought we weren't going to get anyone. We did end up getting a right back in the end, but when you actually now, with hindsight, look back, we could have done more in January. But, you know, they did leave it late for the right back, but they got him. They got him in the end. And I remember taking loads of flack for that at the time, and I was saying, no, we will get one player at least. If they went then get these three, I guess we do have to, like you said, go, do you know what? They did get
Backed
what
up.
we... Yeah, they backed it up, and maybe we have to, you know, I have to, like, just let them do the biz, right? That's the facts of it. If they do,
But then we
get
have
it
to
done.
start judging them on the 2 years that they've been in charge and the windows within that time frame, and then you have to put that against the promises that they made. And if it stacks up that they've delivered on what they said they would, then you can't keep blaming them for what the previous ownership were all like back as far as Bates, you know, and Ridsdale, where it's like, well, promises meant nothing to those people. They just said things and then they broke them all the time. And you know, I go back to the league Mondays of irons in the fire and warm bodies being touted out around transfer windows of like, it's, you know, we've got lots of irons in the fire and the window would close. And we're like, well, did you take them out? Because nothing happened. We got nobody in. So if they can deliver on that, then all that stuff needs to be put away and stop being compared to that and stop saying we're skint and we're cheap. And, you know, just because we have multi-billion-dollar owners doesn't translate into revenue, unfortunately. It doesn't mean they can spend that money. They can only spend the revenue that they have. So, you know, until we get to the Premier League, it is the way it is. And if they can just bring in the right profile of players, a young fullback to cover for both. All we're asking, a loan, perfect, a decent level 8 that can get us a couple of goals and a good quality replacement for Cree. You're not replacing Cree, but get us a good player that can make an impact, like a Smodix or a Whitaker or whoever it is. If you
Can I ask your opinion on this, Joe? What if it's Jadon Anthony? Yeah. How do you feel about that?
It would feel to me that we didn't get what we wanted, or we couldn't get the targets that we had because
you're talking
I feel like they
fourth or
could have done
fifth choice,
Jadon Anthony
surely.
immediately.
Yeah.
If they wanted Jadon Anthony, I feel like as soon as the season finished last year, they could have done that again for another year straight away. I mean, there's no fee really involved. Bournemouth were happy for him to get whatever game. They were clearly happy with last season because they didn't recall him. You know, so if Leeds wanted that as a priority, they could have got that done much earlier in the window, you'd imagine. You know, let's just bring him back on loan, we'll give him a fee or whatever, we'll put an obligation or an option into it, whatever, we'll get him back. But the fact that they haven't done that means, for me, same with Connor Roberts. I think if they wanted him, they'd have done it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But they haven't because the relationship's already built up
yesterday, you know, he played well, did Connor Roberts yesterday.
I like Connor Roberts. I have a lot of time for Connor Roberts. I think he's a really good fullback. I think he gives you a bit of both. You know, he gives you some defensive qualities, not an out-and-out defender, but gives you some defensive qualities. And he's a bit of, you know, he likes to tackle, and I like that as well. And then he gives you a bit going forward as well. But if Leeds wanted those kind of players, the point being, they would have done them earlier in the window. Yeah. If it goes to the end of the window and then we do one of them, you're like, so that would suggest that the options that you had were either outside of your reach, or we couldn't get it done for whatever, or got better offer somewhere else. Yeah. But Nick Hammond has a very good track record in transfer windows, full stop. Celtic, he did a great job there. He did a fantastic job in the one window that he had at Newcastle. And he kind of did the same job at Leeds, where he focused on the defence then. And if you look at the players that he brought in, they're all defensive kind of players. Gruev, Ampadu, Rodon, you know, Darlow, I suppose the goalkeeper that he would have known as well. And then this year has been a bit trickier because they're trying to look for more offensive players, which is a bit tougher. Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, it certainly is.
But they might still do it. So I'll give them to the end of the window before we really weigh into it. But that doesn't mean, this is really important, that doesn't mean we get away with accepting poor performances or bad results on the pitch between now and then. They have to still deliver, because that's still a very, very good team on paper. And
I was just going to ask you that. How important is the result tomorrow for you, considering the fixtures that are coming round the corner?
Yeah, I listened to you earlier on talking about it, and you said that it was a must-win game, and then somebody put you to task on it. And I think it is a must-win game from a perspective of, if you do look at the last 10 games outside of preseason, we've only won 2. So that needs... Form is built on success, and you've got to get results to get that form with the confidence. Mateo Joseph needs a league goal before his confidence starts to really move, you know? It's important from that sense. Get a win.
It's championship opposition.
Yeah, it's a marker as well. Yeah. But they'll make changes as well, so it's not exactly the same, your best 11 versus the best 11, but it's relative to the opposition you're playing. 100%. Go and win the game and then get moving.
Didn't they get to the semis last year under Carrick?
Yeah, they did, yeah. I like Michael Carrick. He's a very good coach.
Same.
There's some good coaches. I mean, just him.
I think they'll push top 6 this year. That's what I mean. So it's a good test.
It is, yeah. And they've a settled enough team. They're a bit streaky. Burrow under Carrick, he goes in these runs and then they stop and then he goes another run. But yeah, they won't be an easy game. But if we go back a week ago, we're looking at this game saying, yeah, we win this game comfortably. And now because of the Portsmouth game, we're like, oh, what if we lose? We're getting nervy again. It's not the end of the world if we lose.
I think I'm concerned because West Brom's on the weekend and I know Farker's record against Corberan.
I like Corberan as well, yeah.
We got 1 point against him last year, Joe.
Yeah, and he needs to better the results that we did badly in last year to get promoted. Like there has to be change. Like Stoke, they're the kind of games that we need to really go out and show what we're made of. Yeah, it's a big
murdered us as well, so he's one player to look out for. So if you are bringing in Byram as mad as it sounds, having seen Bogle, I think I'd rather Byram against Latila, to be honest.
Bogle just needs some time to gel with the team properly in competitive matches. And also, his first game in Ellen Road as a player, and everyone's spoken about how loud Ellen Road is. Just a couple of games, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But also, I think you said this as well. When our fullbacks do go up the pitch, it's the two defensive midfielders' job to fill that space.
Of course it is.
And they didn't do it either. And it's one of the poorest games of football I've seen Ethan Ampadu play in an all-round capacity.
Rolled on as well, they just
two of them.
I think it was overconfidence, arrogance almost. We've got this.
We have this, no problem.
Yeah,
we just ping it around, no problem. And then it was ball being kicked out of play, and defenders shouting at midfielder to get out of their way. Telling Ampadu, get out of here. You're on top of us.
Maybe we needed this. Maybe the squad needed an early
reality check
shit
very early on.
Yeah. Maybe they did. And maybe I did as a fan as well.
I felt like we could score whenever we wanted to, and I was really pissed off that we just didn't want to score as often as we could have, because when we did have to go forward, we looked really good. Really, really good.
Agreed. What's your score prediction for tomorrow, Joe?
2-0 Leeds.
Yeah, mine's same.
Could you see that they'll sort that defence out tomorrow? I just have to believe it was a hiccup.
Could you see Pat starting based on comments about pre-season and that, or do you think he'll keep Joseph or maybe even play Pirro? I think, for me, I'd like to see Gelhardt. I'd like to see Aronson. I'd like to see Rothwell. I want to see Vober. I want to see we need to see these bench options. I'd like to see Pat, as much as that will annoy people in the chat, but I think it's important.
But he's in our squad. He's one of that 20-man squad that we're talking about.
We need him to get minutes
because we've got to figure out the best way to use him.
When he did come off the bench for the 10 minutes, there were a few touches that were a bit
He's rusty.
Dodgy.
Rusty.
But, he actually nodded it on, I think, for Aronson's goal. So he was a part
and
of
he should have scored as well from the corner. He had a great chance for a header to score. So he's getting in positions.
Yes,
exactly. and that's good. Yeah. This doesn't come down to whether you like Pat or not. It comes down to he's a part of the Leeds United squad. How do we get the best out of him? Where do we use him? Because he's never been massively impactful off the bench ever. Like when he was on the bench for Leeds before, he never come on and score a goal off the bench.
Yeah.
But he, in these kind of games, I don't know if he's ready for it. He said he was 11 weeks behind, which is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Which would suggest he's not ready yet to start the game. Yeah. And I thought he looked really stiff when he was running around.
Did.
So I think, and also from a Joseph perspective, the more games he gets in a row, the better.
Want him to score.
So let him get a run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because strikers are all about confidence.
Yeah. I was actually on a walk yesterday with my friend who's a Leeds fan, Martin, anyway, Bob Spangle, but he said, I'll chat to you about that off air, actually, sorry. Nothing in it, anyway, I don't know why I've just said that like that, but he's a mutual friend is what I'll say.
Yeah.
I think, I forgot where I was going. Oh, that was it. He told me, everyone's going on about Joseph. He's still not scored a league goal yet. So we need him to get that quick, don't we, really? For Mateo, we need him to score a league goal.
Technically only made his debut at the weekend.
That's his, true.
His first league start. So that's actually his debut was at the weekend. So he did a lot of good things.
Yeah, that is something we need to get Bamford to a level to be able to play, just in case, because he's a young lad. If he goes a few games without scoring, it might become too much for him. Let's bring him in. Do you know what I mean?
It's really good to have. Again, I played for manager a couple of years ago. Jesus, a long time ago actually now probably. But there was four of us competing for one spot essentially. But every now and then he played two up top. But if you played the two, you wanted to be in that two. But that two would play 2 games and start the game. And on 60 minutes, both of them would come off and the other two would come on. Completely new strike force. And if you're playing with one and you can replace them with a similar level one, then you can swap them over every second week and go, one's getting 60, then 30, then the other one's getting 60, and you're getting 30, and you keep swapping that over. But it also means you've got shit hot strikers going up against defenders the second they walk on the park because you're splitting the load. So you need to get them up to that level because I'm not going to buy another striker. I'd love Leeds to get another striker, but I think a young striker gets in Mateo's way. It has to be an older striker for me, maybe someone who can start games more often. But I just think give Mateo a run of games. There was a lot of good stuff that he did. My only criticism, if I was managing him, would be stay central. You're drifting out wide an awful lot, and that's not where you're going to score your goals. You scored them in that little box. Charlie Austin was brilliant at this. If you took the posts and you draw a line from the posts out to the 18-yard line, Charlie Austin's first year in the Premier League, we scored a stack of goals. All of them were scored in between those two lines. He never scored a goal outside those lines. That was it. And he got 13 or 14 Premier League goals from in that gap. That's where Mateo needs to spend this time because the balls are coming in there. He has to be there. He can't be out wide.
I swear, I don't know if this is right, but I swear Ruud van Nistelrooy only scored 1 goal outside the box. And we know
possible.
We know how lethal he was as a goal scorer. I know
Ian
he
Wright
played
was
for them.
Legit for that as well, poacher.
Yeah. Same Gary Lineker as well. Like that's where
one of the best ever at it.
Yeah, but I swear Ruud van Nistelrooy never scored a goal, I think. I'm all over the shop tonight because as Jack and Vic have told me, Joseph has scored and he scored against Watford, so apologies. I'll blame Bob for that. I'm just taking what he
maybe
said
from a starting position.
Yeah, maybe
which
from
is
a start.
one game, to be fair.
Yeah.
So,
but we'll see. Hopefully, look, if Leeds United win tomorrow, everything will be good again. Everything will be good again, and that's the truth of it, isn't it? But listen, Joe, we'll leave it there. I think we've covered loads there. Leeds do have enough. We just need a few little extra bits. And hopefully we'll get them in the next 17 days. When them 25-man squads in the Premier League are done, then hopefully we'll start to see some movement. But yeah, thanks for watching the show. If there's any transfer news, I'll try get some out tomorrow. I don't think there is going to be, though, because everything will be focused on the game. So I'll see you for the watch-along tomorrow night, folks. So yeah, and Joe, Leeds news out in the morning?
If there's any, didn't do on Monday because there was nothing to talk about. But if there's no news in the morning, there will be a match preview.
There you go. Match preview. Keep it locked, folks, on here or on Leeds United The View or any other content creators out there doing the thing because it's a very tough gig. And we'll see you in a bit, folks. Thanks again.